I'm going to kick it over to the Cleveland Browns as to why they lost. Now, everybody's talking about the fumble that Higgins had, the touchback. Everybody's talking about that, and then they're also talking about the gutsy play call, that the sprint out in the trips formation, which is 3 receivers. The key conversion that Andy Reid called, and Chad Henne converted. He threw it to Tyreek Hill, and truth be told, the safety was out of position. That defense was not lined up properly, because in that situation, that defender that's manned up on Tyreek Hill has got to play his outside shoulder in that situation, and you got to have inside help to cover in case he breaks it inside. So that's a scheme error, and I'm not really going to get into that, but I am going to get into, however, the reasons for why Cleveland lost. Okay, I am going to get into that. So where it starts for me is in the first half, and there's 2 key possessions, the first 2 possessions for Cleveland. So what happened was the Browns were moving the ball pretty well. The Chiefs had already scored a touchdown and missed extra points. It was 6-0. The Browns got the ball to the 20-yard line, so they were in the red zone. And I think there was a sequence that Kevin Stefanski, the head coach and offensive coordinator for the Browns, is going to look back, if he hadn't done already, at the film and regret the play calls he went with. So it was 1st and 10, and they ran a jet sweep. So for those of you who don't know what a jet sweep is, all it is the receiver runs and he motions over from one side, and the center snaps the ball, and the quarterback hands it off to him, and it's a timing thing. He hands it off to him right when the receiver gets there, and the receiver tries to get the edge. It's the end. Typically, it's the end's job, depending on what defense you run. The Chiefs run a 4-3, so it'd be the end typically. It's supposed to contain and turn it back inside. All right? Well, the Chiefs were all over that. They ran it with Jarvis Landry. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, if I'm going to run a jet sweep, it's not going to be with a receiver that runs a 4.65. Not in the NFL, buddy. Like, Jarvis Landry is not a burner. He's slow. I love Jarvis. He went to LSU. He's really good at what he does, right? He's a good slot receiver. He's tough. He's strong. He breaks tackles. But you're not going to ever mistake Jarvis for a burner. And that's a typical play they actually would run with Odell Beckham. They used to run it with him before he got injured. But unfortunately, the Browns, they don't have any receivers to stretch the field without Odell Beckham. All of those guys are more possession-type receivers. None of them are burners. They got some size, but they don't have any speed without Odell. So I heard Ryan Clark say, well, the reason why the Browns didn't run the ball more is because the Chiefs were stopping the first half, and you've seen them do it more in the second half and things like that when they made adjustments. He said that was his rebuttal to Mike Greenberg. And I'm going to tell you right here, that's false. That's actually false. The only time that they really stopped the Browns was when the Browns got in 21 personnel and tried to run behind the fullback. And so when I say 21 personnel, I mean 2 backs and 1 tight end, right? And in that case, the fullback was the other running back. It was a fullback, and it was Nick Chubb. When they tried to run it behind him or any type of toss, the Chiefs were all over there. Why? Because they were bringing Tyrann Mathieu into the box, and Tyrann was all over there. Tyrann was following the fullback, going right to the play. Toss, he was all over it. And so where they had success, though, was out of 11 personnel. And for those of you who don't know, 11 personnel is 1 running back and 1 tight end. They ran out of shot. They were out of shotgun a lot in this game. Sometimes they got under center. They did run 12 personnel a few times, 1 back, 2 tight ends. But most of the game, I noticed they were in 11 personnel. All right, so I mentioned after they stopped the jet sweep with Jarvis Landry, they lost 2 yards. It was 2nd and 12. The next play, they got in shotgun. And Baker Mayfield was trying to pass, and he got sacked. So now it's 3rd and 21. So at this point, you got to play for the field goal. You know what I'm saying? You got to do a safe play. You got to run a screen, run the ball. you know what I mean, or just a quick pass to get it out of his hands, because the Chiefs defense is built to get after the passer. That team is built to make you one-dimensional. Their offense is so explosive. So they're typically meant to get the lead, force teams to go away from their running game, and where they can just pin their ears back and pass rush you. That's why they have Frank Clark as a pass rusher, and Chris Jones, which is one of the best pass rushing deep tackles in the league. And they got Tyrann Mathieu at safety to pick you off when you're forced to have to get rid of the ball or just chuck it up, okay? So it really reminds me a lot of how the Colts were built in Peyton Manning's heydays. They the same way. They really weren't a great run defense, but they were built to get the lead and then pass rush you and get after you with Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney, and they had Bob Sanders at safety. That was their playmaker in the secondary. So, again, it put them in a position. All they could really do is play for the field goal. So the next play, what they did was, they got in shotgun again. Baker checks it down to Jarvis Landry in the flats for 4 yards, and they kick a field goal. So now it's 6-3. Chiefs go down and score a touchdown and make the extra point this time, 13-3 now. So the Browns get the ball to midfield, around the 44-yard line, going into the Chiefs, right? Well, there's 1st and 10 on the 44. They get a holding penalty. So they lose 10 yards. So now it's 1st and 20. Instead of subbing Nick Chubb for your actual pass-catching running back, the one that actually has that skill set to catch the ball, they proceeded to leave Nick Chubb in the game and try to throw the ball to him. So the first play was what happened was they were in 11 personnel. They motioned Nick Chubb out, and he ran a curl route. Baker threw it to him. Nick Chubb dropped it. The next play, so now it's 2nd and 20. Next play, they run a screen with Nick Chubb. He drops it again. Now they sub Kareem Hunt in when it's 3rd and 20. It's too late now, okay? And the reason why I say that about Nick Chubb, I followed Nick Chubb since he was at UGA, and I've never seen him exemplify consistency or the skill set to be a running back that can catch the ball fluidly out the backfield. That's just not his skill set, man. That's part of the reason why they got to have a Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt has that skill set. He showed that ever since he was in his Chiefs days. So, in my opinion, I think that Stefanski made the error by not subbing in Kareem Hunt on 1st and 20. Kareem Hunt catches those passes. Now, does that mean that they end up scoring? Maybe not, or maybe they at least get into field goal range, right? So it gets to 3rd and 20, and then, like I said, they subbed in Kareem Hunt. He tries to pass it to Kareem Hunt, same formation, and the ball gets knocked down. Why? Because the defense knows you have to pass. You're going to pass. They don't even have to play the run. They pin their ears back. They blitz you. And Baker doesn't have enough time, so he has it's quick game. Well, defenders are taught to, if they can't get to the quarterback, is to to try to bat his pass down. Baker's only about 6'1". He's about my height. So in an NFL, that's a short quarterback. And when you're talking about trying to throw the ball and not having the time to really find an open window and trying to check it down, maybe a 5-yard pass so your running back can at least get about 5 or 10 more yards, of course that's going to be tough for him to try to get that ball out quick to Kareem Hunt in that situation. So then they had to punt. They punt to the Chiefs. What happens? The Chiefs go down and get a field goal. Now it's 16-3. Now you're in the deficit. All right? Now I'm going to fast forward to the Higgins play that everybody's talking about. So the Browns, they had a good sequence of play calling, and they get, they throw a pass to the Higgins. He gets it down there close to the end zone. Now, I get it. In that moment, you're trying to score, man. You're trying to make a play. But in football and in the NFL, especially in the playoffs, you have to understand situational football. They had about a minute. It was about a minute and a half left on that clock when that play concluded. After he fumbled. So he's running and he jumps, probably 5 yards out, or close to it, trying to get into the end zone. And Sorensen, at the same time, is coming full speed horizontally and leads with his helmet and gets that helmet right around close to the football, and it separates him from the football, and he fumbles it into the end zone. Now, I don't really like the rule, but it is what it is. That's the rule. What I think the bigger point is that they didn't call targeting. That should have been a targeting call, and then that would have given the Browns would have still had the ball. The Browns would have probably would have scored a touchdown. Just run it. I'd have run it 3 times in a row, and they would have scored a touchdown. So just to wrap it up, all of those things are the reason why the Browns lost. They should have never been in position to try to catch up with the Chiefs in the second half. We're talking about a different game in the second half if the game is even or if the Browns are in the lead. And then you're talking about when Patrick Mahomes goes out of the lineup because of a concussion. So, that's what I would tell you guys. That's the real reason why the Browns lost. Another thing to watch for, though, moving forward, assuming Patrick Mahomes clears the concussion protocol, it looks like he has turf toe. When I saw the replay and how he hurt his foot, and he took his shoe off, and they were checking him out, it looked like he has turf toe. So that's going to impact his ability to escape pressure and do some of those things moving forward, against the Bills defense who's been coming along late. So that's why I wanted to tell you guys, kind of educate you a little bit on what's the real reason. A lot of times in the media, man, these guys don't really, they have all these hot takes and all this stuff, but they're not really giving you the real reasons as to the whys, okay? Another situation, we're speaking of real reasons for what is the truth behind things, is Sean